Imagine discovering you've been training your own replacement while being systematically underpaid by the people you made millions for. Now imagine walking away from that empire at the peak of your fame, losing over $1 million in failed investments, watching your dream shop burn to the ground, and ending up in a hospital bed wondering if you'd survive the night. This is the story of Aaron Kaufman, the mechanical genius who became a household name on Discovery Channel's Fast and Loud, only to lose everything when he dared to bet on himself. But here's the twist. By 2024, he'd built an $8 million empire that proved he was right all along. This is the brutal truth about what really happened behind the cameras, the devastating fall that nearly destroyed him, and the comeback that nobody saw coming. Before Aaron Kaufman became the bearded face of automotive excellence on one of Discovery Channel's biggest shows, he was just a kid from Crowley, Texas, a small town where dreams were supposed to stay small. Born into poverty, Aaron didn't have the luxury of formal training or expensive tools. What he had was an obsession. While other kids were playing video games, young Aaron was in his driveway, dismantling anything with an engine. His parents couldn't afford to send him to automotive school, so he became his own teacher. Manuals became his textbooks, broken down cars became his classroom, failure became his greatest instructor. By his teenage years, Aaron had developed something that couldn't be taught in any classroom, an instinct for mechanics. He could hear what was wrong with an engine before most mechanics could even pop the hood. He could visualize modifications that others said were impossible, and he had a work ethic that bordered on obsessive. He wasn't just building cars, he was building an escape route from poverty, one bolt at a time. That relentless drive eventually led him to Gas Monkey Garage in Dallas, a shop run by a fast-talking entrepreneur named Richard Rawlings. It was 2004, and neither of them could have predicted what was about to happen, because in 2012, Discovery Channel would bet big on their dynamic, turning their shop into a reality TV phenomenon that would change both of their lives forever. Fast and Loud exploded onto television screens with a simple but addictive formula. Richard Rawlings would find junked classic cars, and Aaron Kaufman would transform them into high-dollar automotive art. But here's what made the show different. Aaron wasn't just a wrench-turner playing a role. He was the real deal. While Richard handled the business and wheeling-dealing, Aaron was in the shop, often working 16-hour days, turning rust buckets into masterpieces. Viewers fell in love with his quiet intensity, his meticulous attention to detail, and his genuine passion for the craft. He became the soul of the show. Richard was the showman, but Aaron was the artist. Every impossible deadline that Richard promised to buyers, Aaron made it happen. Every crazy modification that seemed undoable, Aaron figured it out. The show skyrocketed, pulling in millions of viewers every week. Gas Monkey Garage became a household name, Richard Rawlings became a celebrity, and Aaron became a legend in the automotive world. Sponsorships rolled in, merchandise flew off the shelves, the shop expanded. On paper, everything looked perfect. Aaron Kaufman had made it. The poor kid from Crowley, Texas, was now a television star working on million-dollar builds, but behind the scenes, cracks were forming, cracks that would eventually shatter everything. Because success on reality TV comes with a price that nobody talks about. And Aaron was about to pay it in full. Here's what they don't show you on reality television: the soul-crushing production schedules, the manufactured drama, the constant pressure to sacrifice quality for content, and the realization that you're making everyone rich except yourself. Aaron began to see it clearly. The show demanded constant content, which meant constant builds, which meant cutting corners. But Aaron didn't know how to cut corners. His reputation was built on perfection, on builds that would last, on craftsmanship that meant something, and increasingly, that put him at odds with Richard Rawlings, who was playing a different game, the game of television, ratings, and profit margins. The conflicts escalated. Aaron would push for proper safety standards and quality parts. Richard would push back about budgets and timelines. Aaron would advocate for doing things right. Richard would remind him about the cameras and the schedule. It wasn't just about cars anymore. It had become about entertainment, about drama, about keeping Discovery Channel happy. And Aaron, he was suffocating. But the final betrayal was something else entirely. Aaron discovered he was being systematically underpaid. While Gas Monkey Garage was pulling in millions, while Richard was expanding into restaurants and merchandise empires, while the show was making everyone around him wealthy, Aaron was getting a fraction of what he was worth. And then came the ultimate insult. He realized he'd been training his own replacement. Think about that for a moment. You're the creative heart of a multi-million-dollar operation. You're the reason millions of people tune in every week. You've sacrificed your health, your personal life, your artistic integrity, all for the success of this show, and they're quietly preparing to push you out while keeping you in the dark. In 2017, after 5 years of making other people's dreams come true, Aaron Kaufman made the hardest decision of his life. He walked away. He left the show at the peak of its success, turned his back on the steady paycheck, and bet everything on a simple belief that he could build something better on his own terms. His fans were shocked. The automotive world was stunned. And Richard Rawlings? Well, the show went on without him. But Aaron was free. Finally free to build cars the way they should be built. Free to prioritize craftsmanship over drama. Free to prove that he was more than just Richard Rawlings' sidekick. He founded ArclightFabrication, his own shop where quality would never be sacrificed for television ratings. That freedom was about to cost him everything. If you think walking away from a hit TV show was the hard part, you haven't heard what came next. Because Aaron Kaufman was about to experience a cascade of disasters that would have broken most people. It started with fire, a catastrophic shop fire that tore through ArclightFabrication, destroying $50,000 worth of equipment, tools, and projects. Decades of collected equipment gone. Custom builds in progress destroyed. The smell of burnt metal and shattered dreams hung in the air. Insurance helped, but it couldn't replace everything. Some tools were irreplaceable. Some projects couldn't be recovered. But Aaron rebuilt. He wasn't going to let fire stop him. Then came the financial devastation. Like many people in the late 2010 seconds, Aaron got caught up in the cryptocurrency boom. He invested big, really big. Over $1 million big. And when the market crashed, so did a huge chunk of his net worth. Money that he'd earned through years of brutal work, gone in digital smoke. The poor kid from Crowley who'd finally made it, he was watching his fortune evaporate in real time. But the universe wasn't done with him yet. The stress, the financial pressure, the 18-hour days trying to save his business, it was destroying him from the inside out. Aaron began struggling with mental health. Depression crept in. The weight of having bet everything on himself, of having walked away from security, of potentially proving all the doubters right, it became crushing. This wasn't the Hollywood version of entrepreneurship. This was the brutal reality that nobody posts on Instagram. And then his appendix ruptured. Sudden, excruciating pain, a rush to the hospital, emergency surgery. Aaron Kaufman, the man who could fix anything with an engine, was broken down himself. Lying in that hospital bed, recovering from surgery, drowning in medical bills he could barely afford, Aaron had to face a terrifying question. Had he made a catastrophic mistake? Should he have just stayed at Gas Monkey, taken the steady paycheck, and kept his mouth shut? But wait, it gets worse. Lawsuits started piling up. Projects that Aaron had taken on in the chaos of building his business, projects that had fallen through the cracks during the fire and the financial crisis, were now coming back as legal nightmares. Clients who'd paid deposits wanted either their cars or their money back. And Aaron, who was trying to keep his business afloat while dealing with everything else, didn't have easy answers. This is the part of the story that nobody talks about. The valley between walking away from success and building something new. The part where your bet on yourself looks like the stupidest decision you ever made. The part where everyone who doubted you seems to be proven right. Aaron Kaufman had gone from TV star to cautionary tale, from household name to business owner drowning in debt and drama. Most people would have given up. Most people would have crawled back, admitted defeat, maybe tried to get back on TV. But Aaron Kaufman isn't most people, because the same stubbornness that made him teach himself mechanics as a poor kid in Crowley, the same obsessive perfectionism that made him clash with Richard Rawlings, the same refusal to compromise that made him walk away from a hit show, that same quality was about to fuel the most impressive comeback in automotive history. 7 years after walking away from Fast and Loud. 7 years of hell, setbacks, and lessons learned in the hardest way possible. Aaron Kaufman's ArclightFabrication wasn't just surviving it was thriving as an $8 million enterprise. How did he do it? He went back to basics, back to what made him special in the first place. Forget the drama, forget the television schedule, forget the pressure to cut corners. Aaron decided to build a business on one simple principle: uncompromising quality. He specialized in custom F100 trucks, taking classic Ford pickups and transforming them into modern masterpieces. But here's the genius move: Aaron saw the future coming. While other custom shops were still focused purely on gas-guzzling V8s, Aaron began pioneering electric conversions, taking classic trucks and giving them cutting-edge electric drivetrains. It was the perfect blend of nostalgia and innovation, of respecting automotive history while embracing the future. The builds coming out of ArclightFabrication weren't just cars, they were statements. Each one carried Aaron's signature obsessive attention to detail. No shortcuts, no compromises. If it took an extra month to get it perfect, it took an extra month. And here's what Aaron discovered. There was a huge market of customers who wanted exactly that. People who were tired of shops that overpromised and underdelivered. People who appreciated true craftsmanship. People who were willing to pay premium prices for premium work. Word spread, not through television, but through the automotive community. Through Instagram posts showing works in progress, through customer testimonials, through other builders respecting what Aaron was creating. He built a global brand without Hollywood backing, without reality TV drama, without Richard Rawlings. Aaron also learned to delegate. He built a team of craftsmen who shared his vision. He streamlined operations. He got smarter about business, about cash flow, about not overextending himself. The disasters had taught him lessons that success never could. And mentally, physically, emotionally, Aaron was rebuilding himself too. He got help for his mental health. He learned to set boundaries. He discovered that success didn't have to mean sacrificing everything else. The man who emerged from the ashes wasn't just a better businessman, he was a healthier, more balanced human being. So what's the real lesson in Aaron Kaufman's story? It's not a simple rags to riches tale. It's not a revenge story about proving doubters wrong. It's something more nuanced and more powerful. Aaron's journey proves that sometimes the path to real success requires burning down what you've already built. That walking away from something good is the only way to create something great. That the valley between your old success and your new success might be so dark, so painful, so filled with disaster that you'll question everything. But if you stay true to your principles, if you refuse to compromise on what matters, if you're willing to endure the pain of rebuilding, you can create something that's authentically yours. In 2012, Aaron Kaufman was the talent behind someone else's vision, making someone else wealthy, living someone else's dream. In 2024, Aaron Kaufman runs an $8 million business built entirely on his terms. Every decision is his. Every build reflects his standards. Every success is earned, not gifted by television ratings. He's not on TV anymore. He doesn't need to be. Because he proved something more important than fame. That craftsmanship matters more than drama. That authenticity beats entertainment. And that the poor kid from Crowley, Texas, who taught himself mechanics because he couldn't afford anything else, was right all along. Richard Rawlings gave him a platform. But Aaron Kaufman built himself a legacy. And that's a story worth remembering. If Aaron's story inspired you, if it reminded you that sometimes you have to lose everything to find out what you're really made of, do me a favor, subscribe, like, and hit that notification bell. It tells YouTube to share this story with others who need to hear it. And here's my question for you. Have you ever walked away from something successful because you knew it wasn't right for you? Or are you in that valley right now, wondering if betting on yourself was a mistake? Drop your story in the comments below. This community is full of people who've been exactly where you are, and your story might be exactly what someone else needs to hear today. Thanks for watching. Remember, sometimes the only way to build your own empire is to walk away from someone else's kingdom.